Hello and welcome to another video. This is the Mi Band 5. It's got 11 sports modes, it's waterproof for swimming, it's got heart rate monitoring, sleep tracking and more. But first, let's have a look at what we get. The box looks pretty much the same as earlier Mi Bands, so there's nothing new to see here. On the side are some indicators of its functions and some more information in Chinese on the back. There's not too much stuff inside the box, but we do get what we need. There's a charging cable, the watch itself, and a manual. On the earlier models we had to take the watch module out of the rubber band before we could connect the charger. But on the Mi Band 5 this has changed to a better type of connector. This one is much smaller and it's magnetic, so we don't have to take off the rubber bands at all. Since the watch itself looks pretty much like the Mi Band 4, I tried the older bands and they do kinda fit, but it's not a perfect match. As always we have the sensors in the middle on the back, and on the left side is the connector for the magnetic charger. The screen is flat with slightly rounded edges that go all around the watch. The rubber bands are pretty much the same as the previous model, with lots of holes for adjusting the size, and it attaches with a pin on the other side. Attaching the charger is now much easier than before, as all we need to do is place the connector here. The magnet will attach and we are ready to charge. Setting up the Mi Band 5 is as always very easy. It still uses the Mi Fit app, and you can find it by searching the store or by scanning the QR code in the manual. In the app, just tap the plus icon in the right corner and select band. When this is done, the app will probably tell you to charge the band if the battery is low. Please charge it before you go any further, because it may need to update the firmware. Inside is a 125 mAh battery, and charging the watch from empty to full takes about 2 hours. On a full charge, it can last up to 14 days in normal mode or up to 20 days in battery saving mode. The watch bands are easy to take on and off, and they are very comfortable to wear for longer periods. During my test period I was wearing it both day and night for more than a week, and it didn't bother me at all. It's quite small at 18 by 46 mm, and to compare the size, here's the Amazfit GTR, and as you can see it's a lot smaller. The GTR is a full-size watch, so if you don't like wearing something of this size, the Mi Band 5 may be something for you. The display area on the Mi Band 5 is about 20% larger than on the Mi Band 4. This is a 1.1-inch dynamic color display with 126 by 294 pixels, so it looks very good and vibrant even in daylight. By holding on the display for a few seconds, we can change between the different watch faces. If you look above and below the time, you'll see steps and pulse, but this can be changed to show whatever you want it to show. At the bottom there's a little gear icon, and tapping it allows us to customize these two areas. Now I can select the one I want to change, and tapping on it will cycle through the different options. This is very nice if you prefer to show the weather, alarm, graphs, or just want to make it easier to start an activity by making a shortcut to them. Swiping right, we first have the notifications, which is empty at the moment, but here's an example of an incoming message notification. The text is big enough and easy to read. We can of course also clear the notifications when we're done with them. For incoming calls, we can see the name of the person calling. Below it is a mute button, which is nice if you don't want to answer but don't want to be rude to the person calling. Tapping it will make the phone stop ringing without rejecting the call. If you really want to reject the call, just tap the red button on top. Missed calls will also show up in the notifications area, so it's easy to check who called without using the phone. The media player works quite well, and we can play, pause, skip forward, skip backward, and on top is a volume control. It's very small, but it works surprisingly well. Just keep tapping the plus or minus to adjust it. Next is weather, and here we can see the forecast for the next few days, including high and low temperature, weather icons, humidity, wind, and UV status. Swiping left from the main screen will show the same functions, just in the opposite order. Swiping up is status, and it shows us our activity data, with steps, distance, calories, and so on. It also shows us the steps count for the previous days, so it's easy to compare steps day by day. Next is Pi, and it also shows us the previous day's results. In heart rate we can manually start measuring, or swipe up to see a more detailed view. This can be set to automatically monitor your heart rate 24 hours a day in the app. We already saw how notifications work, so next is stress, which will show us our current stress level, and below we have a more detailed view. Breathing is a new feature where you should sit calm and relax while breathing and following the instructions and animation on the screen. It tells you when to breathe in and out and the progress of the exercise. Events will show any events that are registered in the Mi Fit app. We already saw the weather function, so let's move on. In workout we have all the exercise options, and here's everything from running, treadmill, cycling, indoor cycling, walking, elliptical, rowing machine, yoga, jump rope, pool swimming, and freestyle. When starting an activity, it will first tell the app on the phone to start up the GPS. This way the exercise data will be more detailed and precise. It will then start a 3-second countdown so you can get ready for when it starts. I use this function many times and it's quite quick to start an activity. Here I'm outside for a walk, and this is the data that's visible while this activity is active. We have time, distance, steps, calories, and heart rate at the bottom. After the activity is finished, we get some more details on the watch, like time, distance, speed, heart rate, steps, cadence, and stride. If you want even more details, it's available in the app. I also do a lot of cycling, and here's what you see while the cycling activity is active. It's pretty much the same as while walking, except instead of steps, we now have speed. After finishing the activity, we get an average and max speed as well. There's also some elevation data and climbing distance. Again, there are much more details available in the app. Next is more, and in here they packed everything they didn't want to add on the main screen. We have the Do Not Disturb mode, which has quite a few options. There's alarms, but on the watch we can only turn the alarm on or off. Sadly, to set the time we must open the app on the phone. This is a vibration alarm, so there's no sound coming from the watch, but it's strong enough to wake me up in the morning. Next is the camera function, which lets us use the Mi Band 5 as a remote to take pictures. It's not really a function I use, but it does what it's supposed to, and it works fine. When it's active and the camera is open, we can use the Mi Band 5 screen as a remote shutter to take pictures. We already saw the media player, so next we have the stopwatch. It supports laps by tapping on the flag on top. There's also a timer that we can adjust from the watch. Find device is used to find the phone, and under is something called silent. This function is used to set the phone in silent mode when needed. Alipay is not something I use, so let's move on to the world clock. Here you can see what time it is all over the world, and from the app we can add or remove countries we want or don't want. We can of course also change the screen's brightness, but it's more than bright enough, so I never used it at maximum level. The screen goes up to 450 nit, which isn't bad at all. Here's one interesting function called Detect Activity. If it's on, the watch will monitor what you're doing, and if it thinks you're doing some sort of sport activity, it will ask if you want to start the activities function. This is useful if you sometimes forget to start activities yourself. There's also a function for monitoring menstrual cycle, but for obvious reasons I wasn't able to test it. Let's move over to the app. On the main screen we have all details about our day. Here's steps, pi, stress level, sleep information, our last activity, and our streaks at the bottom. The steps data seems to be quite accurate, and it gives us a nice overview of the day, with steps, distance, calories, and at what time we were active. Swiping between the different days is also quite useful to compare the activity levels. There's also a nice and detailed view of the stress level during the day, with different graphs and nicely presented data. The sleep monitoring also works well, and I've been wearing this watch every night since I got it. It can take some time getting used to if you usually don't wear watches at night, but the Mi Band 5 is quite small and light, so I didn't find it uncomfortable at all. It also supports napping, but since I never take a nap, I didn't get to test it out. The app shows us deep sleep, light sleep, REM, and time awake. I found it to be quite accurate, so it works well. The heart rate monitoring also works well, and in general I like how the information is presented everywhere in the app. It's all laid out in a way that it's easy to find and easy to read. I did take this watch to the swimming pool to check how it works in water, and it's actually quite good. The only challenge I had was the touchscreen being a bit unresponsive while it's covered in water. Here's a list of my activities, and in pool swimming we for obvious reasons will not get a map, but it will show us the distance, workout time, pace, calories, stroke type, and so on. Other activities where the GPS is used will show us a map. And below are all the details with some graphs showing pace, heart rate zone, altitude, and so on. In a cycling activity we can also see elevation, speeds info, speed changes in graph form, and even the altitude. There are of course a ton of things we can do in the app, so I'm not going to go through it all. But most of us like changing the watch face from time to time, and luckily there are a lot of them in here. They're also sorted by category, so it's easier to find some that will fit the need. If you don't want alerts from incoming calls and other apps, it can also be switched off or on. Since we can't set the alarm directly on the watch, we have to do it here. App alerts are other apps that we can get notifications from, and we can choose which ones we want to use. If you don't like the order of the functions on the watch, it can be changed here. Just tap and hold the one you want to move or remove, and place it where you want it. Notifications will now be the first item on the watch. We can do the same for workouts, so we get the workouts that we actually use first in the menu. And we can hide the ones that we don't use at all. For example, I don't jump rope, so I'll just drag it down here to completely hide it. Personally, I mostly use full-size watches, but I really like the Mi Band 5. It's a very nice looking band with a very good app, and we get it all for such a low price. This is truly a bargain compared to other main branded bands out there, especially when you compare what you get for the money. And with such good battery life, we don't have to worry about charging it every night. Shortly told, the Mi Band 5 gets a thumbs up from me. And that's it for my review. Please comment, subscribe, and click that bell below the video for more. Have a nice day, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.